For those who know what's right. For those wedded to the machines in their bedrooms, their studios, their best friend's garage or basement. For those who negotiate with the system every day to make time for the music that matters. For those who get in debt to fund the fight against the mundane. For those who stay true to their cause even in the face of income and fame through compromise. For those who feel the power of every beat. For those who keep their minds open. For those who encourage and support those pursuing their personal dream. For those who sacrifice relationships to make sure the music is heard. For those for which the music is a lifetime, not a pastime. This is Bass Agenda.
This is Siviyex,
and you're listening to Bass Agenda.
Hi, how you doing? Welcome to Bass Agenda, episode 242. This month my guest is a husband and wife duo from Toronto, Canada. Two multi-instrumentalists, incredibly talented people, make some truly special music, which we're going to explore today, particularly looking at their new album, the Mirax Sequence, out on Numa Records now. Barbie Castelvi and Mitchell Gomes. She's been in a number of bands over the years, also worked with Gerald Donald on his Daughter Produkt project, and Mitchell as well got a great track record, including recording some seriously dope electro over the years under the name Cryogenetic. Lots of amazing music, nice and varied stuff coming up, a real trip for you. Enjoy.
Wow, I think I've always loved electronic music, maybe because I grew up with a lot of it. In Canada, in Toronto, our top 40 radio stations and our AM top 40 radio stations played a lot of new wave.
Right.
So I was exposed to synthesizer music from day one, since I was a kid. Being a pianist, of course, I was drawn to anything with keyboards because, as a kid, I would just kind of imagine myself playing these synthesizers, even though I didn't really know what they were because I was too little. But I just loved the sounds. It was just so different from all the sounds that my parents were listening to, right? Because when you're a kid, you always want to listen to the complete opposite of what your parents are into, right? So
That's it.
Yeah. So, getting into bands like Depeche Mode and New Order. But even previously to that, listening to late night radio. There was a show, and there was a DJ that used to play on this radio station that played all this underground electronic music before it even became mainstream. Like I remember hearing West End Girls, like the very first version of it. And then 2 years later, it became a big hit, right? The first time I heard Al Fish, which is one of the songs that I chose. That was a big one. Well, we'll talk more about that later, but I think that song was pretty well instrumental in me loving electronic music. So
quite a lot of British stuff actually that you mentioned there.
I am obsessed with British music, period. It was everything for me. So
Not anymore.
No, well, it depends. It's kind of very international these days, right? So just because you have more access.
Exactly.
Being in Canada, we were part of the Commonwealth. So we're quite influenced by the British.
Yeah, sure.
And British bands were making it here before they were making it in America. In fact, some of them were making it here before they were making it even in England.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
I was really into breakdancing, so that exposed me. I was in some breakdance competitions, and that just exposed me to what I later found out to be electro funk. So for me, it was Herbie Hancock's Rocket. Like most, that song gets cited by a lot of people. It's kind of like the aha moment as a young child. So that was the first.
Because of the video, or just because of the
I think it was a combination of both. It was kind of the song that was played at most breakdance battles and competition, and it was, the video was being played. So yeah, I was obsessed, and I had to have it. Went to the record store. It was the first record I ever bought, and that kind of ignited things. And then, other songs like, I'm the Pac-Man, and a lot of those Street Sounds compilations and stuff like that. There was some breakdance records, like How to Breakdance, and so without even knowing it, it was just that sound of electro funk was ignited in me, and I just became obsessed. And once you get that bug, for some people maybe they grow out of it. It never left me. That sound is my favorite sound. So I have to say Herbie Hancock's Rocket kind of ignited it as a young child, because it was on the radio and the video. So yeah, that kind of started it for me. Breakdance.
Yeah, sure. So you guys, my understanding as legend tells it, you guys met at a Cryogenetic gig, is that right?
I mean, we may have met once before.
We met before because Aaron introduced us.
Yeah, so we had a mutual music friend, Aaron Cunningham, who was a great...
Dramatic 606.
Yeah, he released on a label that we had. He was a great electro artist and went on to have a project called Synths, but he introduced us, and I think...
I was DJing.
Yeah, but our first real kind of meeting of the minds, was a gig that I was doing at a club called Element in Toronto. And we just started talking, and
I invited you on my radio show.
Yeah, but we literally, once we started talking, I think we talked for a couple hours. So there's definitely a connection going on that we just enjoyed each other's company quite a lot. And then she invited me on her radio show, and say the rest is...
And then I broke up with my boyfriend for you.
So how did you, I mean, because you've got a really individual sound, which is fantastic. But I mean, did you guys come together and say, right, this is the kind of music we want to make, or did you just start jamming around, or?
So it's interesting. We she was in a electronic improv group called Keop at the time.
Okay.
I was doing Cryogenetic stuff. And they were looking for...
We were looking for a turntablist.
Yeah.
Who could really, bring some effects and really do something different with everything that we were doing.
Yeah. Right. So I joined Keop, which then actually the name got changed.
We changed it to Syntonics.
Syntonics. And then that group kind of disbanded. And then we
took the name because you made it up.
Yeah,
or you decided that was our name.
So then we continued together
as Syntonics.
And we did that for a few years. And it was, honestly, it started out, I remember the first song we made, it's called Hollow Eyes.
Oh, yes.
It was just kind of me as Cryogenetic in the studio. And then she came in and...
I did this goth thing.
Yeah, we just growing up, and...
You got the vocalist.
I became the vocalist.
And
so I'm a multi-instrumentalist, and when he met me at the time, I was in like 5 bands, playing bass, playing guitar, playing this, doing this.
Well, that's what I was going to say, because you're his... I mean, I don't know all the bands you've been in, but I'm well aware from following you on Facebook.
Yeah. You can see what I've done.
You've been busy.
In the musical direction, but together as Syntonics, we did a few albums, and it morphed into, from freestyle to booty bass to we got into jungle and ghetto tech, and it was just kind of all over the place.
A big mishmash.
We started another project.
Well, you knocked me up, eh?
Yeah. Then we had a child.
We got married and had a child.
And that kind of,
I'm starting to think Barbie's the one who gets to the point in this.
So we kind of retired that. It was more like club oriented, and we were kind of, getting away from the nightlife scene. So we started a project called Felons of the DC, which is another made up title for a band name, and we did one album with that name, and I think that was kind of the precursor to Siviyex. It was like bringing in guitars with the electronics and trying to find a different sound that would later become Siviyex. So
Well, I'll be honest about the music that we were getting into when we moved out to the suburbs. We left Toronto. We left our world, our hedonistic life, right, of partying and raving, and to have this child. And we got married. We moved closer to the rest of our family, or the rest of your family. We moved here. So then, we're taking care of this child. We both went back to school for music, like music-related stuff. Yeah. And, stepped away from all the clubbing and all the craziness. So then what's left is you're just listening to a lot of music instead of preparing and looking for music to play out in clubs. So then I had discovered that apparently my new husband, I didn't even know, was a big shoegazer. But wait, I was a big shoegazer. So we were really into shoegaze music. right? My Bloody Valentine. I mean, for me, Ride. I'm even friends with a member of Ride. And all these, British creation records groups, Lush, all these groups, And we started re-listening to all of that shoegaze that we loved when we were kids. And in fact, started listening to newer dream pop shoegaze music that was being put out, mostly by Americans. So we just got into all kinds of different things, but still loving electro.
I mean, that whole journey you just described, it makes sense in your music. I can see how you got there. And it's, there's definitely a bit of all that in there, but it makes something, I think, quite unique, really.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you write vocals for a song, or do you have a library of stuff that Barb's recorded, little bits and pieces that you draw on as a?
I'm very much a top line writer, so Mitchell will come up with the bass idea of a song, come up something for me to be inspired by. And then we will together work on the vocal. So I'll come up with, with several top lines, and we have to both agree on, if we like it or not.
Sure.
And we write the lyrics together for the most part as well.
But the vocals are never written before. They're kind of like the last thing.
The last thing. It's like the icing on the cake, basically.
Okay.
We try to finish most of the song. Sometimes, obviously, the structure or things in the song change once we get the vocals going. But the vocals, it's never really a starting point, or it's not like she's done something and then we try to incorporate it into a song. That's typically not how things with our creative process. But
okay. Yeah.
He's starting to do vocals now too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
He's got two songs with vocals that he's doing now.
Oh, cool, man.
Beat break.
Yeah.
He sounds good though.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing it, man. Yeah, wow. So we got a duet in the making here, is it?
Possibly.
I know you guys have chosen some tracks by yourselves that we're going to talk about, and we'll definitely do that. But I've got to be self-indulgent and ask you about one track, which is Discom.
Yep.
That track is just amazing.
Thank you.
I don't want to blow smoke up, but that track
I appreciate it coming from you, Andy.
Man, honestly, it's so good. I was listening. I mean, I hate to think how many times I've listened to that. And since we arranged to do this, I've even accelerated that. I mean, I'm almost taking it daily now. It's absolutely amazing. But the question I want to ask, which does link to the other tracks you've chosen, is I've looked on the Siviyex Facebook page, and I think there's a video of you guys playing that live.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm watching this, and I can see Barbie's lips moving.
Yep.
I can see you both doing stuff, but I can't. I'm not very technical, so but my brain is like, I don't understand how what I'm seeing is translating into this sound, and I'm like, I don't understand it, how it happens. Where's the tweaking? There's just, I don't know what I'm trying to ask you now. I've got so.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm just trying to work out, because you've obviously got. It's like you've got this raw ingredients, but you're doing some. It's like watching a magic trick.
Thanks.
Like watching a magic trick to me, or hearing a magic trick.
Yeah.
So if you can come up with an answer to that,
Yeah.
That's difficult to answer.
So, the drum beat is straight from the 808. I was just programming one night and trying to come up with something that wasn't just so 1-2, like, the typical snare pattern.
Yeah, it's quite, I don't know, syncopated. Might not be the right word.
Yeah, it's got
not regular. It's not a regular structure, is it? Really?
I was like pretty happy with how the beat came out. It's got a real discombobulated feel to it, but it's still got a funk to it, which I appreciate. I just created a new synth guitar patch, which is that airy synth sound that kind of permeates through the song. Well, it starts out at the beginning, which is I don't know how else to. It's kind of an eerie.
It's kind of an ethereal.
Yes, exactly. And then trying to find the synth bass to kind of bring it together, and so that happened. And then there's a lot of vocal chopping of different samples that went into it. And then it was trying to write the song, because it has a kind of a traditional verse chorus type of a interplay. So vocals are a big part of most of our songs. We do have some instrumentals, but we feel it kind of helps bring it to a different level when we add the vocals. So
well, I think, to my mind, there's so few people doing vocals well.
Yeah.
In electronic music, but in electro. And I just think it's really. Your voice is amazing, Barb. I'm sorry, I'm going to keep blowing smoke.
Thank you.
I'm going to keep. But it is incredible. I'm talking goosebumps.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Yeah, no, the vocals were a long time in the making. Once again, just a lot of tweaking to find that kind of combination of natural vocal with I'll call it vocoder technology. So it's a mixture. Yeah, we've been playing around with vocal effects, and we've been through so many different boxes and plugins and this and that, and so it was just after tons and tons of experimenting and tweaking and different equipment.
We control our sound on stage.
Yeah.
We give a left and a right out to the sound person. They don't get to mix us.
Yeah, so that's our own vocal effect live. We don't.
Well, that's partly what I was trying to get to.
Yes.
Yeah. What you're seeing in the video is our own vocal technology that we
brought with us.
Yeah, that we've kind of tweaked. It's like I said,
we bring our sound card with us when we play live. We have to, right?
Yeah,
of course.
It was a long time in the making, that vocal sound.
When I see you singing, Barbie, you're harmonizing with yourself, a processed version of yourself. Is that kind of?
Yes. Well, it's a combination of my natural voice and also vocoder technology. So it's a mixture.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you see me playing a bass guitar on stage too. You'll also notice that there like 99% of the chance there will also be an electronic bass right underneath my live electric bass track.
Okay.
Now, I'm a big New Order fan. We're big New Order fans, and if you take certain songs of theirs, they work with a lot of frequencies. They'll work with electric guitars, fuse it with an electronic frequency, and if you take one away from each other, the frequency changes.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why we use the electric bass, and sometimes we don't.
I get you.
Yeah. I think where she's going with
the vocal.
Vocal is just.
Sometimes we use a natural voice, sometimes we don't.
But it is that combination of natural voice and vocoder.
That's right.
And like what you're saying, there's nothing pre-recorded. It's
live.
just the tweaking, the years of tweaking that we've put into, and it's just the layers of effects and that all coming together for natural voice with vocoder put together, creating our vocal sound. So,
but I really like, the way we toy around with vocals. Certain vocal sounds that we have are genderless. And in fact, you can't tell if it's a man or a woman or even human. So being, we were really trying to go for that. A being rather than a human or a gender, just a being, from somewhere else.
A sound, source of sound,
After, using vocoders for many years, I still love the sound of a vocoder, but I think we just wanted to kind of take the vocoder technology and bring it somewhere else to make it into our own thing.
But even with that, just specifically with that track, even the sort of speak and spell.
Yes, so there is a
that is a real speak and spell.
Yeah, we have.
I thought it probably was. Yeah, I mean, even that. I mean, it's. I'm just gonna keep on. I like the way you use it in that track because in some ways it's a bit of a wild card, but it just does make sense. It's one of those tracks where I just want other people to hear it.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, there we go. Enough of that. What can I say to slag you off? I can't think of it.
It's funny how everyone has their song, like everyone has a favorite song, and I'm so happy about that.
I was just amazed you hadn't chosen it. But then that's I see things.
No, there's so many.
I'm seeing it from a different angle, obviously. But
I think we chose songs that most people that have given us feedback tend to gravitate to probably the songs that we may have listed. I can't say we have a favorite song or anything.
No, I know it's really hard.
It is because when we go through the process of making our songs, we've listened to them sometimes 1,000 times or more, and then we're playing them. So then you almost tire of certain songs. But
I'm trying to think who it was I interviewed, and I listened to the interview recently again. God, who was it? But they basically said that they find it hard to talk about their tracks because what they wanted to say was said with the track by doing the track.
Yeah. Right.
Which they kind of get, that makes a lot of sense actually. think of the four you chose, probably I think Mind Control is probably my personal favorite. I think.
Yeah, so that's
like the second song we ever made as Siviyex, or the first?
second.
Okay.
Yeah, we were still trying to find our sound, and I think that song, some people are like, why don't you make another song that sounds like that? And it was kind of at the beginning of the project, and we were, like I said, still kind of finding our sound, and that song just kind of came together once again with the 808 with a lot of processing, synth bass, and then the vocals. That was kind of the beginning of that vocal sound.
Yeah.
But no, I think that song that we've gotten more traction. People just liking it over, I think, any other song that we've ever done.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess we just had to.
It's a really slow song too.
Yeah.
You can't dance to it.
The melody of that song was played on Commodore 64. I have a keyboard overlay for my Commodore 64, and I have a cartridge with some synth sounds.
Okay.
And I think, that song actually started on the Commodore 64, and it's kind of blossomed into what it became.
Yeah.
Which is not a typical approach to creating songs, but it came together in that way.
I mean, in a way, I don't know whether this is unfair. To me, it's probably maybe one of the more accessible songs.
It is.
You know what I mean?
Accessible is a good word for it.
I mean, for somebody who hadn't heard your sound, that would probably be a good gateway.
Yeah, and then they'll be like, well, why don't they have any other songs that sound like that? Sorry. Although we're working on a new one that's maybe a little bit related to the song right now, so...
Mind Control 2 is on its way. And then theme, I'm gonna mispronounce so much on this show. It's gonna be crazy. I might have to get the speak and spell to do it. So this is theme from Myrax.
Theme from Myrax.
I love that one as well.
Some of these names are made up, right? So you are right to not know how to pronounce them.
I'm struggling. I love that one though. Again,
at least you got Siviyex right, and not Siviyex.
Yeah.
Could have gone either way, Bob. Honestly.
Yeah, so that one, yeah.
That's a crowd pleaser as well.
Again, we've got a lot of
people like that
feedback when we came out with that song, and it's a bit of a more minimal approach. And I think instead of having kind of like
lower
a big wash of guitars, it's I have just more of these stabs. Once again, trying to go for that film thematic sound. It's got the synth bass. There's no bass guitar in that song either. And then the vocals, it's not like a typical. It's more vocal sounds that are triggered with the vocoder.
Hello, this is Lego Welt. You're listening to Bass Agenda.
Visions Informer.
That gets dropped at goth clubs.
Oh, yeah?
We got a good reaction.
People, yeah. Like,
so at the time when we were making those songs, we were kind of just uploading them to SoundCloud. And I just got a lot of good positive feedback from people. Once again, just like a driving 808.
It's kind of like our most guitar-y song as well.
It opens with the guitar melody.
There's a bass guitar in it.
And the bass guitar comes in. And then
there's no electronic bass, it's all bass guitar. That's all it is. It's actually the only song we have that's all bass guitar, no electronic bass.
Okay.
Yeah, it's got a strange...
it's got the weirdo, genderless being vocal.
But the structure of the song, I was going to say, is a bit different than a lot of our songs, which tend to go first chorus.
Okay.
It's just kind of the way it flows, and
it's punchy. It's a crowd pleaser.
And then Exteria. Have I said that right?
Dara.
Yep.
Dara, sorry.
Yeah, that's, I guess, we really like dark electro, and that one just started with like a weird guitar chord that I came up with. That's just kind of like a haunted house sort of sounding thing, and we're just really into thematic, like music for film type stuff, and just trying to incorporate that into, I guess, electro, kind of put those two things together with like the changes and making things sound like a bit of a movie theme, I guess. It's kind of like the theme to our lives. So yeah, that's kind of how that song came together. Sometimes I'll think about, that sound that I used to use in Cryogenetic. I've got QY700 sequencer, and there's like a synth-based sound, so I brought that out for the verse of that song. And it's the guy that signed us for this last record. Was a song that he really liked. Sorry. Shout out to Sorry.
Sarah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. No, I like that. I mean, you mentioned film. It's funny. It's something else that crossed my. I don't know. Do you guys play? Are you into video games at all?
We've had
We both have had
for sure.
our video game love.
Yeah. There's a fairly recent game. Let's say last couple of years called Elden Ring.
Okay.
And there's some elements in that where there's a lot. It's very dark, and there's some really nice female vocal, kind of floaty vocal bit. And I was just thinking, what you guys could easily do a soundtrack for a game like that, because it's so, the atmosphere is. I mean, the sound is a huge part of the game. It's
yeah.
Anyway, there you go. Just
cool.
Just came to my mind there.
Just a dream.
So I asked Barbie if she could choose a Daughter Produkt
Oh yes.
track.
Yes.
Because obviously that must have been exciting to do.
Well, I had befriended Gerald Heinrich Mueller.
The man.
I think going on a decade ago. We met on the internet. At first, I didn't believe it was him. He approached me. He had like a secret account. I don't think it was really secret. I don't really. I just talking to people, they didn't think it was him. They thought it was someone else.
Yeah,
There
Right.
is imposters on
There are imposters. They're quite. Every time I see a new imposter, I show it to Gerald. I'm like, Gerald, is this you? As a joke.
There's been a lot.
He knows it's not him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it took a while for me to actually believe it was him and then he was also being kind of cryptic, and we just became friends. I guess a couple of years, and then just nerding out about music, and it's just always been about music. Just talking about music. But here's the funny thing: I never told him that I actually made music for quite a while.
Oh, really?
He's like, so what do you mean? So you make music? I'm like, yeah, I make music too. He's like, well, why didn't you show me? So, I showed him our Felons of the DC stuff finally, and thought it was very interesting. He was like, this is really, good stuff, whatever, right? In 2019, they came to his wife, Tanan, and him, who are Doppler, came to Detroit. So he's like, you got to come and meet us, right? So I went, I drove, and saw them play, and hung out with them the next day, all day.
Cool.
It was amazing. I mean, I love them. They're like family to me, like Tanan, his wife, looks like so many of my relatives. You know what I mean? I just felt like this kind of familiarity with her. After that meeting, and hanging out for the day after for like a whole day, even getting to meet his mom, which was really neat.
Wow. Nice.
Right? Yeah, it was wonderful. We had just been toying around with just sending tracks to each other. So this particular song that you're going to play is originally not going to be a Daughter Produkt thing. It was just something else that we had been kind of tossing around. That he like juggles a lot of things, a lot of people. He's constantly making music. The guy is just a genius, right? Constant work and research, right? And so this track ended up being one of the collabs. So what Daughter Produkt is, as you can see, is like a collective of different, a lot of sound artists, mostly classical musicians, to be honest. And it's just passing a bunch of tracks around, and whoever finishes what, that's the product. Right? The Daughter Produkt, whatever. So that's
It's a great concept. I love it.
That's it. That's the whole Gerald story.
So which one of you guys then chose weather forecast?
Oh, that was me. That was just one of these gems that, I was already tinkering around with drum machines, and I was actually involved in my synth guitar stuff. I had a four tracker. But I was also, starting DJing and collecting records, and I knew, the whole electro resurgence. Not that it had ever gone away, but things were really bubbling in the mid 90s. So finding records, I think the label was Electrocord, and finding that Klystron record, hearing that song, I'm like, okay, this is what I like to a T. Just that stripped down, once again, 808 electro beat, the bass line, the sounds, the beeping. It's interesting. I think the record starts with like a fax machine, I believe. And then it goes into this sample of I think it's a British voice.
I think it's actually the British, which I think you can still hear on the radio every day. It's the shipping forecast.
It's just such a refined, classy electro song, and just so futuristic, so cool, and just stripped down. And it's funny, like most of the music I make is not stripped down, but I've always loved that sound of that minimal, straight up electro.
I mean, there's not a lot to it, but the atmosphere they create is just, I don't know, it's absolute magic. It really is amazing.
It transcends you in a place, like, if you were to hear that in a dark club, like, I'm gonna go bananas. Like, that's not, you don't hear that stuff in clubs very, very often.
No.
Yeah, that became my obsession, collecting records like that. Klystron, very cool electro project. Yeah, that Electrocord label, I think Adult had an early release.
They weren't called Adult though. They were called something else.
It was a Plasma Co. So yeah, that was a cool label as well. It was some of those labels from the 90s, those electro early kind of resurgence labels, I call them. Just great stuff. I'm very proud of the collection of stuff that I have from that era. It's like kind of my heart when it comes to music.
Treasure.
Yes.
Soul, London, Fastnet, Irish City. Northerly 4 to 6, locally 7, decreasing 3 or 4, locally 5. Showers at first. Good.
Mariska Nierman. You're listening to Bass Agenda.
Songs like You Don't Know by Drexcia, just kind of, when I heard it, it's like it had this futuristic sound, it harkened back to the electro of the 80s in a way, so it was just bridging those two things together and taking it in this futuristic direction. So that was just massive influence on me and where I wanted my music to go. So.
Yeah. And what was it you took from it? I mean, okay, so it's the futuristic. So, because when I think of, I mean, I guess at that point we're talking, you're kind of getting into maybe the early days or thinking about the early days of Cryogenetic. Whenever I think about that, I think of, you know, quite high BPM, bit more manic stuff, I guess, than You Don't Know. But I'm always kind of the drum programming and the futurism.
I think it was, the 808. A lot of 808s were used in the Drexcia stuff. Yeah. I think the sound, there's this digital sound, this arpeggiated, very spacey sound. The pads, the way it's kind of Kraftwerkian, sci-fi, thematic, the vocals, kind of this really deep, low, unintelligible sound to them, and just the way they put everything together, the layers, those sort of things kind of go into your psyche, and then you make your own music, and it comes out differently with the equipment that you're using. And I had to have an 808, for instance. Fortunately, they were relatively affordable back then. So lucky to still have my 808. Drexcia, I guess our proximity to Detroit, we were lucky enough to have record stores that would get all the stuff from Submerge and Underground Resistance and all that. So getting Drexcia records wasn't that difficult in Toronto. So 98% of the records were techno and house. So finding those electro records in the mid-90s was tricky. You had to know the guys at the record store. They would put them aside for you because they were really kind of the odd records in the record store. So but yeah, we were lucky enough, I guess, that proximity to Detroit. One of the guys, David Cooper, that worked at Play the Record, had a close relationship with the guys in Detroit, so he was getting all the stuff, and that's how I was exposed to Twilight 76, which I was lucky enough to have a release. DJ Godfather's label. So people like Moss 2008, that was like hearing that stuff, just all of it was a huge influence on what I was doing at the time.
Al Knifefish was the song I was very obsessed with when I was a kid. So the first time I heard it, I had missed the introduction to the song and the artist. So I had heard this song. I was like, this is the most different, this is so different to me. I've never heard electronic music like this ever. Like, mind you, I didn't even know who Kraftwerk were.
Sure.
Because I was like 10.
Yeah.
11, okay? And I didn't know who Kraftwerk were. So the only hope I would have to find out what this song was to hopefully wait around for it to be played again next week, the following week when the DJ would play it. So sure enough, I had my cassette player all ready to go, because those boom boxes, you could, tape the radio show, right? Like right off, right there. So I heard it and I taped it, and then I found out the name of the song. And then what I decided to do was I was so obsessed with the song that I was just like, I don't want to keep rewinding this song over and over and over again. So what I'm going to do is every week when Chris Shepherd plays this song, I'm just going to hit record again. So I think what happened was I had this Al Knifefish tape that had maybe 6 or 7 versions recorded of it from different radio shows, and I would just I played it until it was destroyed. Basically, because I was a kid. I mean, we had these I lived in the suburbs. We had these record shops that they weren't boutiquey, they were, big name stores, Sunrise, A&M, stuff like that. So you could only buy, popular recordings, or, I think I bought, you could buy like a Human League 45, right? Okay. I think the first 45 I ever bought was Human League. So I was able to do that, but no sign of Al Knifefish. I wasn't old enough to go downtown to try and scoop up a copy from one of the specialty record shops. I just had no way of ever obtaining this record.
Yeah.
Now I have 2, maybe 3 copies of it. Yeah, later on I had befriended Jerry Caliste because, I had this really cute hobby going on when MySpace was around, and my hobby was I'm going to approach every old school electro producer that I worship and just reach out to them and try to befriend them. And that's how I met Jerry. That's how I met Greg Broussard and Ben Sinak, we were able to bring them to Toronto as a result because I befriended Ben.
That's cool.
We were able to bring Nucleus here because I befriended Greg. We brought Egyptian Lover here twice. We were working with other promoters. All really successful shows. They both had never been here. Both artists had never been to Canada. Wow. It was a big deal. Jerry, I tried, but Jerry, could only, he for whatever reason didn't have a show. I said, well, can you DJ? Oh, I'm not doing that anymore. So I had befriended him while he was living, I believe, in Columbus. His daughter was going to university there. Wow. And Jerry was also doing lectures and stuff there. So he's like a businessman. So that was interesting. Remember, we used to chat on AOL. And it should be like, who you talking to again, Jerry? I'm like, yeah.
That's cool.
Just nerd out, you know what I mean? So, yeah. So, Al Knifefish. About Skinny Puppy, during this time when I got into Skinny Puppy, again, I was maybe 13, like a kid. I started going to young adult nightclubs, and again, following the same DJ that first introduced me to Al Knifefish, right? But during this time, the electronic music that was very underground and that was really moving me was just, a lot of the stuff like the wax track stuff that was coming out of Chicago, so early Ministry. But then I was really into electronic body music as well, so Night Sareb, Front 242, stuff like that. New Beat from Belgium, so I was really into a Split Second. And Skinny Puppy was like our Canadian version of like that world, but they were like considered, and they had always called themselves an electro-industrial group. Just dancing to Skinny Puppy, the aesthetic behind at least their first 3-4 records. I'd never heard again. I'm always drawn to something I've never heard before. I truly believe that they did create a whole genre that had so many different subgenres in it, and so many different subgenres were born from it. And I just loved the fierceness and the bravery, some of the concepts that they had Kevin Key had a hand in, and Dwayne Goetel as well, who was a one-time member of Psyche, who are Canadian as well. Where I wish I had actually mentioned them as well earlier, but anyway, because they're so underlooked, or at least overlooked, and underrated. Dwayne Goetel passed away when he was only 27. And he was a big force in Skinny Puppy, along with Nivek Ogre, who is the singer, and Kevin Key, who is the person who started it with Nivek Ogre. Just the vocals too, the vocals that Nivek Ogre had, the effectiveness. I was at the time a vegetarian.
Okay.
And I would say right now that it wasn't Morrissey that made me vegetarian, even though I was a Smiths fan when I was really super little too. But it was Skinny Puppy, I think, that, opened my eyes to animal rights and stuff like that. Mind you, I'm no longer vegetarian. Because I'm anemic but anyway, when I was a kid, like, these were, the political kind of groups that I was into, and Skinny Puppy, being Canadian, was a huge part of my life. Portrait Task is Nick Hammersley, who we became very obsessed with before meeting him, actually.
Right.
We discovered, first you discovered Pink Think first, though. We discovered Disco Obscura, which is a label that released our first record.
Yeah.
But the artist that you discovered was Pink Think, who was basically the label head, Joey, who is Disco Obscura, right? So from scrutinizing this label, this boutique label, we had found this artist, Portrait Task. And, I'm not shy, right? So I reached out to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had a bunch of songs on SoundCloud.
Oh, my goodness.
Which were just genius.
Oh, my gosh. They're not even released.
And I think they've probably been taken down from SoundCloud.
They're not even
I don't think
released,
he'll
these
ever
ones.
release them. He's quite prolific. Just has a great approach to blending, I guess, electro with new wave.
Well, this particular song has more of a new beat,
yeah.
EBM feel.
Yeah.
He's one of our favorite producers. We were lucky enough to bring him to Toronto.
We played with him. He did one of my parties the first time, and then we played with him. We went on like a little mini Disco Obscura tour where he came with Disco Obscura and Silent M, who are also on Disco Obscura. So we did like Toronto, Montreal, but they were like touring like all over America before they hit up with us.
Okay.
But
so we're. I think he actually was the one that told.
He's the one who told Joey about us.
Joey, who was the Disco Obscura label head, about us, which then led to getting our first record.
We really wanted to be on that label too. We were like, that's the label I want to be on. I feel like comfortable to be part of that label just because of, the variety.
Yeah. Good fit.
Got some Metallo in there, got some minimal synth, post-punk, shoegaze, and now electro.
Yeah. It's good to find a label where you fit.
We really did feel like we fit there.
Pornography is a matter of artistic creativity.
features free. Tiny text soldiers in a grand scheme. Promoters see these beats to the digital age. Take center stage.
Heliopause with nanobots.
Yep. Well, dynamic bass system. What can I say about that? Huge fan. I mean, I think most diehard electro people are. It's kind of hard not to be. He just fuses the old school sound with new technology in a way that not many people can do. He's just kind of in a different league of his own. So yeah, when you're saying like in the last year or so, I think that new Heliopause record was probably, I think, the last thing he's released. It definitely the same feel to it as like a classic dynamic bass. I just love his melding of. He's a big Miami bass fan. I know that for sure. And I'm obviously an old school electro freak. But to hear the way he can do it in such a new contemporary way, but it sounds old school. Just great.
A lot of people doing that, but I think he's a cut above somehow, isn't he?
He sure is. Yeah.
Promoters see these beats to the digital age. Nanobots, take center stage.
And then Mitchell, you sent me, this is an extract from a live set, I think, is that right? Conjunction.
As Cryogenetic, I used to just prepare live sets. They were all hardware. If I had a show coming up, it's like, okay, let's write, I guess, an hour or however long the album would be of music. And that was just one of the songs in the middle of one of these live sets. This track's kind of a different sounding Cryogenetic track, so I made kind of some re-edits to it. So yeah, I can't remember what year, it's probably early 2000s I made that song. It's not really, it doesn't sound like most of the songs that I did under that name, but
no, it's a bit more kind of, I don't know, spacey, is that?
Yeah.
It's a bit less kind of, not as raw, I guess, is what I think of.
Exactly.
Cool. No, thanks for sharing that, man. That's cool.
Oh, my pleasure.
I'll play it.
Hello, this is Carl Finlow, and you're listening to Bass Agenda.
there's Scene Machine, Data Freak.
Oh, see, you call him Data Freak too, and Data Freak is the only one. He says Dave Rout, his name is. He's like, I'm the only one that calls myself Data Freak. You call me Data Freak, and everyone else seems to say Data Freak. And I was actually going to say Data Freak today, and you said it first.
Well, I'm British,
so Data Freak. If he wants to be called Data Freak, we should be calling him Data Freak.
Yeah, I'm
British, so data is data. I don't say.
Dave's one of our heroes.
Yeah, he's like he's been one of the early pioneers, I would say, of electronic music in Toronto. There's a handful of people, but he's one of them.
He had made he's in Techniques Berlin. Okay, for one thing, Techniques Berlin, who are around the 80s, who are getting so much love, represses and I mean, they just went and played Gothic Pogo or whatever, right? And like to 1,000 people, and they're like the big draw, right? Wow. He's also in Bang Electronica, who are an electronic body music project. Okay. It's also Techniques Berlin. It's the same two people from Techniques Berlin, but it's all in German because their singer is German, and they're cult heroes in Germany.
He's been doing electronic music
for so long,
and he'll just like post online, "Oh, check out this Electro acid track I did in 1994." And it's just like,
and we're like, "What?"
Like he's one of these guys that just he has all this music that no one's heard. And
this song we chose, I believe, is 2006. Like this was like just actually put onto vinyl.
Yeah, so we just have to shout out to Dave because he's very important.
It's this Italian label, basically. He literally doesn't even have to make new music.
He's a great guy
anymore.
Great record collection. He's got probably one of the most insane 80s, obscure 80s new wave record collections, and
and he's writing a book. He's writing a book about actually Toronto, like Canadian minimal synth.
We've crossed paths. I played with him in the early 2000s at some of our early. We had an electro party called Electric Workers, and I think that's when I first was able to meet him. But he was doing stuff long before that, long before I got involved in.
Well, he was in Digital Poodle as well, who are a seminal EBM group from Toronto as well. They're back.
Hallo, ich bin Helena Hauf und ihr hört Bass Agenda Radio.
Doppler effect entity from Tetra Space, which
well, you know, every time they release something, it's just like way ahead of everybody else. You know what I mean? You just can't catch up with them. You can't. You just can't. It's like chasing a dragon with Gerald. You know, I mean, let's admit that there are many people who want to sound like Doppler, right? I mean, it could be looked at as flattery or not, right? But you know, you know, he's always, those two. I mean, they're always ahead of the curve, and they always will be. You know what I mean? Always light years ahead of everybody else, and I think that, you know. You know, they're very futuristic. Everything they make is just, you know, it's outside the box.
Yeah.
If the box ever nears them, well, they're jumping out again.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. And that's why I think, you know,
definitely
they're such a huge influence of ours. I mean, I can't. If anyone else, I'm more in awe with, to be honest.
Yeah.
Their stuff is getting faster.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, definitely.
And you know, when you go to these, like, when you hear like a lot of these more popular like electro DJs that play the big raves and everything, the kids are really into electro. Like every time Stingray comes here, it's like wall to wall. Kids like in their early 20s, and all the electro he's playing is very fast, right? And that's what the kids like. They like the fast electro.
Right? Good to see. Fantastic to see. In terms of the future, what do you got? I mean, obviously you've just released an album, so you may be dry at the moment. I don't know.
We always have stuff in the can.
Yeah, so we have a lot of stuff written. It's just trying to get it. Our process of finishing songs, it's, I'll be honest, a lengthy process. Think of it as like a painter kind of, or a sculptor chipping away, looking, and like, you know, adding this, adding that, and
maybe stepping away sometimes and then coming back.
So like some of our songs that we're working on right now were started in probably 5 to 7 years ago. And they've just kind of been sitting on hard drives, and I just kind of go through stuff, you know, projects that had been started, and kind of, okay, now it's time to try and finish this. And once I start trying to finish a song, it's like I have to see it to the end, and it can be a long process. But so yeah, we're just working on. Actually, we have a song that should be coming out on a compilation on a new label. And then I think our goal is to get another 4 songs together for an EP, which at this point I think our plan is to just release it digitally on probably Bandcamp.
Unless someone else approaches us and says, hey, we want to put out an EP for you. And that's the way it's been with us. We don't shop our stuff around at all. Like these 2 full-length releases have all been from labels approaching us. In fact, we've had 2 other labels that were supposed to release for us that both folded because we were supposed to have more stuff out, but the pandemic messed so many things up for so many people. So
we don't want to sit on our music too long. Like, so once we get a few songs together, we may release it digitally unless I guess someone approaches us. But and if we do a couple digital EPs, hopefully they can come together as an album. We love obviously having everything pressed to vinyl.
And I love concept records. I'm really, you know, because I grew up with them, right? So I believe in, like, I love, you know, 8 tracks, 10 tracks, 11 tracks on a record, telling a story. But we'll settle with an EP, I guess. So
we'll see what happens. Our goal is just to keep chipping away at making new music, and hopefully we'll probably drop some snippets on SoundCloud or something.
A shout out to Nine Checker.
Yes.
I love Nine Checker. We have a great community going on in Toronto, mainly with like a lot of these people that I mentioned, right? But it's amazing to have someone like him with us, because the music, the electro that he makes is, you know, very, very futuristic and very now at the same time. And Memorex, oh my gosh, another amazing artist who we love is Memorex.
Cool.
David Lush.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I...
And Heike Celeste, he just put out an electro EP as well on Suction.
Mm-hmm.
And we should say hello to Jason Solvent. I mean, he's part of all of us too. I mean, I'm sure you know Jason Solvent. Suction Records.
I love this.
Solvent. Solvent and Lowfish. You might know them together.
Yeah.
And he's the creator of, I Dream of Wires, which is that movie. Have you seen I Dream of Wires? So yeah.
I love it.
We've got some great people in Toronto.
Yeah, you really have.
Also want to give a big shout out to our good friend Aris, also known as Iteration Corporation, amazing Toronto producer. Who else do we want to thank and shout out?
Ben Cherry P from Filth Tracks Records and Posse Up,
who actually has released some Cryogenetic material on vinyl even, and some digital releases. Anyone else?
Yep. Who else?
Sorry. Yes.
Sorry Abu, who is Numa Records, who put out our new record. Very important to mention. This is a new label, and we are his first release.
Yes, and he was
based in Montreal.
Yeah, he has moved to France, I believe, now.
Well, his family lives in Paris, but he is moving in September to the Netherlands, to Amsterdam.
And big shout out to Sari. He really believed in our project and approached us and really believed in our music and put a lot of time and effort into this latest release of ours.
Created the album cover too. The album art was all him.
Yeah,
right.
He put tons of work into it. The album's called the Mirac Sequence. It's available worldwide on vinyl, also digitally. So thank you so much, Sari, for all of your hard work and dedication.
Amazing stuff from Siviyex. Make sure you check them out, especially the new album. No doubt going to be worth your while paying attention to what they do in the future as well. Going to spend half an hour looking at promos now. Had a lot of 4/4 stuff in lately, so we're going to blast through that for about half an hour.
is a message from Detroit.
This is Adult.
And you are listening to Bass Agenda.
This is Dave Clark, and you're listening to Bass Agenda.
So coming up to the end of the show, quick catch up for you before we get there though. At the end of the Siviyex interview, we got into something new there from PRZ, track called Lost Art, then into Tech Marine Bottom Feeders with Post-Apocalyptic Science. Then we had a little flashback to something released on Bass Agenda Recordings a little while back now. Brilliant track there, BPMF Divide the Slide, that was the Abe Duque remix. And then sticking with remixes, we got into the recently released Dave Clark Wisdom to the Wise, that's the UMEC version. Then into Lena Filipovic, track called Dance Minor. End of All Things by J Mass. Gonna close out the show. Out now. Great EP. Recommend you check it out. Love and thanks again out to Siviyex for taking part in the show. Special love out to everybody on Patreon supporting Bass Agenda, helping me keep this thing going. The show will be up to download for you guys first tomorrow, of course, along with a voice-free version. I'll be back next month with Steve Allman and a ton of new music for you. Have a good weekend. Cheers.
Listen to me, what we do here, it's fucking essential. It's like oxygen. The world's dying of 1,000 heart attacks. We heal them up. It's a goddamn public service what we do. That's the only reason to make music.